So whether you're just getting into NRL 22 or Benchrest, or even just upgrading your match grade rifle, it is easier than you think to ruin your accuracy or even damage your rifle. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about ways that shooters damage their new rimfire rifles. So one of the most common and overlooked ways that people lose the accuracy of their brand new rifle is by failing to check the action screws. Yes, that's right, the action screws. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's brand new. It just came from the factory. You'd think it'd be right. It should be good to go. But, I can tell you from experience that it is not uncommon for action screws to arrive either under-torqued, loose, halfway screwed in, or the opposite, over-torqued and, screwed in way too tight. So here's the deal. On your new rimfire rifle, the action screw torques directly affects the bedding pressure and barrel harmonics. If those screws are way too loose, well, the action can shift slightly in the stock and under recoil. Even a rimfire rifle has that potential. Now, that movement throws off your point of impact and can cause erratic flyers if they are too tight. And of course, you risk the risk of compressing the stock, especially in those stocks that are wood or even laminate. And that can lead you to stress fractures and uneven barrel tension. Even precision stocks like the MDT or the KRG systems are sensitive to this as well. It's not about that brute force. It's about repeatable and balanced torque. So a really good starting point is roughly around about 15 to 20 inch-pounds. For most precision rifles, that's I think is the sweet spot. So grab your quality torque wrench that's got inch-pounds on it and tighten the front screw first, and then switch to the rear. And of course, alternate gently until you reach that target torque evenly. This helps avoid twisting the action and creating uneven pressure points. But here is the key. Torque specs aren't one size fits all. Different rifles, different stocks, and even different torque patterns can slightly affect your groups. Some actions prefer 18 pounds at the front and 15 at the rear. Others shoot tighter in reverse. So there is an element of experimentation involved, especially when you're tuning. That's right, tuning your Benchrest or NRL 22 rifle. So don't be afraid to fine tune in those very small increments. And remember to recheck your torque after the first few hundred rounds. Wood and other stocks can compress, like those polymer stocks can shift slightly as those stocks settle in. Bottom line, precision starts at the screws. And if you're chasing consistency, this is non-negotiable. Get your torque right. Get your torque right before you even think about group testing ammunition. This one catches a lot of new rimfire shooters off guard. So over-tightening your rings on your scopes, even just a little bit, you can do serious invisible damage. I've seen plenty of times where the scope body gets that little bit of a dimple underneath the cap turrets and suddenly that scope stops tracking reliably. Parallax won't hold, or your zero suddenly mysteriously shifts on the third time you go to the range. Have you ever experienced that? You've done a few shots, then you go back the next few days and why is my rifle not shooting correctly? Sometimes the scope, really, it does look fine, but inside those things are your scope's buggered. So if there is one part of a 22LR rifle that is absolutely must be protected at all costs, it's the crown. That tiny ring of metal at the end of the muzzle doesn't look like much, but it is critical. The crown is where the bullet exits the barrel, and it's the last surface that the projectile touches. If it's slightly dinged, nicked, or worn unevenly, your groups will open up very fast, and no amount of ammunition testing or scope dialing is going to fix that problem. So the number one culprit that causes this is careless handling. If you rest your muzzle on a hard surface or let it tap against the bench, or even that tiny little burr, barely visible to the eye, can cause gas to escape unevenly and the tip of the bullet in flight. So how do you protect it? Always make sure you store your rifle's muzzle up. A lot of people talk about storing their rifles down because they don't want the garbage and the crap to fall down the barrel into their chambers. Now, this is why I'm saying store your rifle with your muzzle up. When you're at the bench, never let the muzzle rest on the concrete or wood, and if you need to clean it from the front, which I don't recommend, okay? I don't recommend cleaning a rifle from the front. Some shooters even go the extra mile and cap their muzzle with a thread protector or even custom crown protectors during transport. It's cheap insurance for what might be the most important part of your barrel. The bottom line is that that last 1 millimeter of steel matters more than most shooters realize. So treat it like a glass lens, because if it's damaged, so is your accuracy. Next one is dry firing. A 22LR with protection might seem harmless, but it's one of the most fastest ways to damage your rifle, especially if you're working on a tight match chamber. Unlike centerfire rifles, most rimfire rifles don't have firing pin stops built into the bolt. That means when there is no round in the chamber and the firing pin doesn't just click, it slams forwards and impacts the breech face directly. So over time, this creates burrs, chips, dings, indentations that prevent a clean case setting and consistent ignition. That alone can destroy your group consistency, or even worse, it can cause misfires. The mix is honestly so simple. Use snap caps, inexpensive and they're reusable. Or if you want something even, well, free, drop in a spent case that you've been testing. If you want to do your trigger pull testing or doing your bolt cycling drills, you can even rotate the case occasionally to distribute that strike. Just never dry fire on an empty chamber, ever. So this one isn't about tools or talk, it's about the mindset. A lot of shooters, especially those coming from the the centerfire world, treat their 22LR like toys. It's low recoil, cheap ammunition, and, well, no blast. What's the worst can happen, right? So they handle their rifle rough, they throw it in the back of the truck without a case, and they skip those little things like torque checks and ammo testing or even shot discipline because, hey, it's just a 22LR. And, well, that's the thinking that kills precision. So honestly, here's the truth. Modern match-grade rimfire rifles demand the same respect as a $5 grand centerfire rifle. In fact, sometimes they're even more sensitive. You don't get to shoot a 22LR casually and suddenly expect it to group under half an inch unless you've built that precision into everything, your gear, your process, and even your mindset. So whether you're running a $300 1022 or a $3,000 Voodoo or a $7,000 Nitro, stop thinking it's just a rimfire. Because the moment you treat it like a serious tool, you'll start seeing some serious results. So precision 22LR rifles are capable of mind-blowing accuracy, but they're also very, very sensitive. If you treat them like centerfire rifles, you'll kill that edge. Let me know the worst mistake that you've ever seen or made with a 22 in the comments. And of course, subscribe for more rimfire tips and videos like this one.